Good morning. Welcome to the Board of Mayor and Alderman Work Session. This is April the 9th, 2026. We'll call this meeting to order, asking for public comments. Seeing no one in the audience, we will move on to the approval of the minutes. You have been provided the work session minutes for the March 5th, 2026. Are there any corrections? Hearing none, these minutes will stand approved as presented. And then we'll move directly into our department reports. And first up is Director Jack Williams.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning.
Good morning.
So the first thing we have is discussing the sanitation rate. I brought this through my committee. And you have some information there, but there's one sheet that was left off, and I'm going to give this one to you guys. That's where we're at. It'll show you. I think there's two.
Extra page.
So what we're doing here is, I brought this through with my committee, and we're discussing a sanitation rate increase. I think the last one was 2021. So the sheet I just gave you shows you where we're at on a 20% and a 25% increase. So we're just bringing this to you guys to let you decide what you might want to do. I think we're ready for an increase. You see the comparables to some surrounding counties, surrounding cities. I think if you look, you'll see Richardson's waste. It shows 20, but since we've done this, started this process, he's already gone up to 24. So he's at 24. That's in the county. So you can see the numbers on a 20% and a 25%. So just like to throw it out and see what you guys want to move on this. One thing we did discuss with my committee is, if you'll notice on the page I just gave you where it says each additional, it shows that putting that 20% on that increase as well. But we did discuss with my committee leaving the additional can fee as it is right now, because it's just two cans sitting side by side. I feel like we would be fine leaving that charge for the additional service for each can added, but that would be up to you guys to decide. Our main thing is to increase the per can rate. Any questions on it? Comments? No, I think.
And then what we discussed in committee, as far as the additional can remaining at the 15 rate,
Right.
no increase on that would be.
Because they have to pay for the can itself.
Yes.
And then we charge extra to pick up the second one. I think we'd be fine to leave it. But like I said, they're sitting side by side. There's no additional work. So it actually helps us out, to be honest.
Yeah.
They don't overload, so.
Right.
If I understand it right, I think an ordinance would have to be written, right, John, for this. You guys would have to actually approve an ordinance for these rates, so we decide what we want to do.
Any other questions from the board?
I just wondered if anyone's in the agreement for 20 or 25%.
We had made the motion for 25 in our
Yeah.
committee just to meet their needs
Yeah, I was there.
with where they're at. Not a big difference in that anyway, and
Okay.
he felt like 25 would really take care of everything they need to do it, so Mike and I were on board with that.
And it still puts us in the range of the surrounding area as well.
Right.
And just for the record, it did go through Finance Committee as well due to the increase in price.
Does anybody have any further questions? And that's we're looking at doing the 25% increase, which will change the rate from $19 to $23.75. The charge for the additional can will remain the same at $15. And there's a commercial rate of, it's going from 24 to 30. If not, we'll move that on to Tuesday. And
Do we want, since we're not raising additional rate on the second can, do we want to hold that at 0 on the commercial rate as well, to show consistency on that,
The additional can on commercial,
instead of not reducing.
I think that's a good idea, but that's for you guys to decide.
I mean, since they've already got the can,
Yeah,
and they're already paying an additional for the can, to keep that rate at what it is now.
so all the additional can rate, we'll leave like they are. Okay,
I got one.
okay.
My suggestion.
I'm good with that too.
Everybody good with that? Yeah. Okay. For the purpose of the ordinance, Jody, have you prepared that for us? Any questions that you have? We're good? Okay.
I found a prior ordinance I'll work off of, and I just needed the numbers, basically. So
Okay. Okay. All right, we'll move that on to Tuesday night. Okay?
All right, thank you. So as far as report, I've got a little bit of information on the CDBG grant that we're working on. We do have the engineering report from Croy. He's strictly dealing with Hedgemont. The estimated cost we're looking at in Hedgemont is probably eat up pretty much that grant is where we're at. So, and if you have any other additional information on that, Mr. Owens?
I do not, but primarily the grant, the CDBG grant is due tomorrow, the 10th. We've been working probably for the last 4 to 5 weeks and providing all of the information. We feel confident that we have provided and have everything in. So once it's submitted, just waiting to see what happens on that.
And that, they thought it'd be a pretty quick turnaround on the approval
Right.
of this grant.
Typically, they're notified late in the year, and that's still fairly quick. In the past, it would be in the first quarter of the following year, but we're looking at late November, December being notified.
Okay. Any other questions for Jack? Thank you.
Okay. Other thing, I think you had attached the street ratings that we're working on. I'm just going to present that to you guys every few months just to show you where we're at. We're working on it. As you can see, I have some, but I have a long way to go. I'm just, there's a lot of rating to be done. But you can kind of get the idea of where we're going with this. You can see the streets that we've rated. We have some streets in dire need of repaving, but this will help us. I think
It's
Croy
not
actually.
on this one, Jack. I know you had it in our committee, but it's not showing on our pad this morning,
Should not attach it.
the ratings.
It
It's
isn't?
not on the pad. but-
Okay. Okay, I thought she attached it. I'm sorry. Well, we can get that sent to you guys through email. We'll send it to
If
you.
you want to print.
And I can just send, if you'd like, I can send you updates as I update my sheet every so often. I can send you one. Because it's, you can just kind of see where we're at with it. Yeah. I thought Debbie had attached it, but I'll get her to send it out to you in your personal emails.
Thank you.
Okay. But where we're at with it is, like I said, we're rating them. I'm doing, I think Houston Matthews Crowe actually used our rating sheet and the rating method when he submitted what we did on Hedgemont. So I think we're going in the right direction with it. And as you look at what we got, the ratings, you're going to see some tough numbers, but that's where we're at. So. All right. And then as far as department update, we still have 2 guys out on medical leave. Keeps us shorthanded, but those guys are doing a good job, keep stuff cut. We are short one, but we have a new guy, Josh Springer, is coming next week, so we have a new employee that'll start with us, that'll help us out. They are starting out in the ditch, doing some ditch cleaning that we discussed, Ms. Dorothy. They started today.
That's great.
Yeah, there's a lot of that needs to be done, so we're gonna try to tackle that. We've just been kind of short-handed, and so those guys are doing a great job there, and that's pretty much all I have, unless you guys have any questions.
Jack, with the new hire, will that put you at full staff, other than the 2 that are out on medical?
It will for right now, it will, where we need to be. And if the other 2 could get back in there, then we'll be really good to go.
Good.
So,
Knock on wood, Will.
yeah, knock on wood.
Is that something, because it's not tied to a personal property, that we could reach out to the county as far as using the trustees to clean ditches and things like that, to help out on that?
I'm not sure we could.
I know that might be worth checking.
because some of the ditches are ours to, the cities to deal with. Some I get questioned on. We have residents that want us to come in, but we can't get on personal property and do this.
As long as I understand it, as long as it's not personal, residential, or commercial, that it can be handled through the trustee.
And we do have a trustee helping the guys today, our trustees working, so, and I will reach out to Toll
Yeah,
and
just fine.
because they'd love to get out there and do this.
Yeah.
But we have a lot, and, but the big issue is, we do get calls, the residents want us to come in and clean, but according to the property lines, we can't. But it is also in our municipal code that it's, as a residential, as an owner, you are responsible to maintain your waterway, your ditch. What you feed to your neighbor, you're responsible to take care of your part of it. And there's a lot of that out there too that we're gonna try to push to get the residents to do their part. So.
If something happens on private property, the city becomes liable. So
Exactly.
we have to be very careful with that.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's all I have.
That's all you have? Okay.
All right,
That's a
thank
lot of good information. Thank you. Next, we have Chief Jennings with the Police Department.
Morning, Mayor and Board.
Morning.
First thing we have is the Tiger Tracks event. School, the permit, we've vetted it and we have approved it. And that's on May 15th of 26.
Any questions?
Next, we had two officers, Ryan Thomas and Derek Jordan, who graduated from Tennessee Law Enforcement Training Academy, so they're back and they're on shift and are able to patrol the streets by themselves now. So that leaves us with one officer that started the Toledo Training Academy on the 29th. And so she has 10 weeks of training, and then at this point, we are still fully staffed. So that's going well. They will need to take the oath of office next week.
And you'll get with Debbie on getting on the agenda.
I will.
Thank you.
Next agenda is the SRO grant. So the City High School has added I just lost my track. They've added an alternative school. They had a piece of property across the street that connects to the City High School there. So they made that an alternative school. And with that, they needed an SRO. So we contacted the Department of Safety and Homeland Security to see about our grant that we already have in place, and they made an amendment to this grant to add an SRO, and wasn't really sure that I needed to come before the board to do that, but we thought it was best just to come and let you know, and then go ahead and request that approval. So what that does is it would approve us to hire an SRO to go over to the alternative school there at the City High School.
Would that not increase the grant contract amount, or would it increase?
It would increase the contract amount, but it's not a match, so it's directly paid from the state, which each SRO is granted about $75,000 for the year. So that's why we're able to hire one and put it in place. That pays for everything: uniforms, any equipment they need, and health insurance and all that, up to $75,000. So in doing so, if we put one over there, that would, if somebody from patrol actually would put in for it, that would mean I would have a need to replace them on patrol.
Mm-hmm.
But like I say, it's not a match grant, so it's fully compensated.
So on here, it's got $225,000, and then another line for $75,000. That $75,000 additional is the grant. The new contract will go then to $300,000. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay, good. So what you have in your package is including that SRO. Thank
It
you.
is. Uh, Police, department update, everything's going fine. Working hard. I'm a big numbers guy, so I wanted to bring this before the board. I went to Department of Safety, Homeland Security's, traffic traffic crash, website, and it shows, that in the first quarter of this year, the city of Fayetteville and Lincoln County is down 36% in traffic crashes. That is a direct result of our guys working hard and making traffic stops and issuing citations. So that's a big accomplishment for us in this first quarter. So I wanted to bring that up with them.
That's great.
That's all I have for the police department. If you have any questions, we'll go into animal control.
I did see one of your officers had some 18-wheeler pulled over out here the other day, so that's good.
Yes.
People on Mulberry call all the time.
I
so.
know, we're very mindful of that. And I probably have a conversation about that every single day. Of course, but, you know, it's getting summertime and we're a little busy, so you may not see them up on the square a lot because they're answering calls, but they're mindful of it, and we'll watch it. For the month of March in animal control, the city answered 10 calls, and then out in the county, they answered 28. There was 10 animals brought in from the city and 50 brought in from the county. A total of 19 adoptions, had 1 return due to being unable to afford the animal, and we had 3 more pending. Had 9 dogs reclaimed, transferred to another shelter with 4 to Nashville and 34 to Horse Plus. Total animals in the shelter for March was 68, and as of April 1st, it was 11. 3 of those are pending adoption. So we're working on that, and I'll have more updated numbers next week. Also, we under the animal control shelter went under a state veterinary inspection for the facility license renewal, and that was completed. There were 2 recommendations implemented immediately, and overall inspection, the state vet said that it had vastly improved since it's been under our leadership. Also want to mention that animal control, we have set up the accounts for the spay and neuter for the TNR, trap and release, with 1 animal shelter, not shelter, vet clinic, I believe it's in Huntsville, and the other is local here. We're working with the ladies that go around and feed the cats here in the community, and we opened those 2 accounts, and we put in there $1,000 apiece, and they are voluntarily, their time, trapping and taking these cats to these clinics, and we're paying for it up to $1,000 for the year. So I see that, and we're working well with the community, and it's going real well for right now. Of course, cats are still a problem, but hey, we're trying. We're doing the best that we can with it, and we're still coming up with ideas, so we'll work on that. That's all I have for animal control. If you have any questions.
Thank you, Chief.
All right, thank
And
you.
Mayor, we need to move the 3 items presented to the agenda, so we need permission to do that.
Okay, so do we have permission to move the tiger tracks, the oath of office, and the approval of the increase on the SRO grant, or law enforcement grant? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Chief Bergman, Fire Department.
Good morning.
Good morning.
First on the agenda is gonna be some information only, because I don't have anything to show y'all right now. But I just feel like I'll give you what's gonna entail in that MOU with the volunteer fire. We've talked about this a little bit in the past. But what we're looking at is trying to get an MOU with the county fire, so each of us can use our gear on their events and our events. So this will allow, if we do have a large event, not emergency, but an event, we can share turnout gear between each other And, in the MOU saying if I have an event and something gets damaged to the counties, the city will repair that gear or replace that gear as the same as it was. Same way as if the county has one, they're gonna do the same thing for the city. We put together, me and Brandon has sat down and really kind of got a little plan together on any events we hold. We'll hold a safety meeting, document what, if we have to use county volunteer firemen, document their gear, what it looks like before, make sure everything's in date, just to keep everything, moving smooth, that we're not saying, hey, it got tore at this event, and it was tore before we started. Just keeping everybody fair. It's in Johnny's hands right now. He's working on that, and hopefully, maybe by next month, we'll have that ready to pass on to our partners in the county. The next one is the MOU with the fairgrounds, and this one's, I'm leaning on y'all for guidance. Me, Kevin, and Brandon have met on this multiple times, and we've kind of got to a crossroads of where to go from here, and we'll lean on y'all to try to get some information or some direction where y'all would like us to go. So right now, the city has obtained fire protection for the county fair. So what that means is we're gonna have to pull in additional resources when the fair comes to town for their events. They have about 4 events that they have to have fire protection for the event to actually be able to be held. So what we're leaning on y'all is it something that y'all want us to recruit those funds? Or do you want us to say, hey, it's the city, we're gonna do it just as fire protection? That's where we're leaning on y'all, because if we have to recruit the funds, we'll have to pass a resolution saying that we can charge for an entity for our services. And then we'd have to come up with a fee schedule to recruit those funds. And if we don't charge for it, it is gonna impact the budget. Because, one event, I'll have to have 8 people there. The other one's about 4 to 6. We have 6 on a shift, 20 full-time firemen. So that's why that number 1 MOU is gonna be there. I'm gonna have to lean on the county to hold these events. Because, we just don't have the staffing for that or they're gonna be overworked, and then safety concerns come in after that. So what is y'all's thoughts on recruiting the funds or providing the services?
How's it been done in the past? Is it?
The county volunteer has done it in the past, in my understanding. Years ago, this is where it gets a little muddy, but years ago, I think it was the Milana station that would take care of the fire events. And then the fair board would give a donation to that station. Well, I think people have moved out of that position, taken care of that, that's done it in the past. And then the new leadership, they said, hey, I don't know if they really want to do it, or it ain't worth the squeeze, the funds, we put in more than what we're getting back. And then they transitioned in paying the firemen an hourly rate. And that's when CTAS, from what I've been told by Chief Campbell, CTAS came in and said, hey, you can't do that. You're a volunteer fire department, only a municipality fire department can do that. So that's when it was brought to my office saying, hey, the county, we can't do it. I don't know if that's 100% accurate on the can't do it, but that's what I'm being told on that one. And
With the MOU with the county to come in and work the event with the city, it would be a city municipality event, and then we could recoup funds.
that's right. And the county volunteers would be considered a temporary employment.
Right.
So that's where we could pay them if we recruit those.
Right. I think we need to get into the recruit the funds. If not, we're not budgeted to do that.
I agree.
I would like, maybe for Johnny, if he's got an answer for this now, or if he can find us an answer. Because the fair has a nonprofit and a for-profit board, how does that affect the city? Or how would that affect the city being able to provide services for a for-profit organization?
I'm not aware that would impact our ability to do the service and then potentially recoup the cost of the service from them, but I'll give that some consideration while I'm working on that.
And also, I believe, if I remember correctly, I think I read in the paper or maybe on the radio that
the fair, the county had took over the fairgrounds in order to obtain some grant money that otherwise was not gonna be available. And coming from the county side, I've always been told that section there was county property. So, with the MOU, I think we're covered, but is there some kind of liability? I mean, if we take it, I know we have liability, but what would be the liability on the county? They would still have liability if they're accepting ownership of that property, correct?
Probably so.
So, Vice Mayor, we, Chief and, Deputy Chief, Brandon and I, and actually the mayor was able to get on the tail end. We pulled Mayor Newman aside on, was it Tuesday? Tuesday, to kind of address that, and although that's a development issue for a particular purpose, he did give us a little insight on that. I mean, it's still a little gray, but he gave us a little insight on how to kind of maneuver through that.
And I have talked to the president of the stakeholders. I talked to him yesterday, and he said, look, anything that goes on at that fair on event-wise goes through the nonprofit side. He said, we really don't have no say. And he kind of led into, he didn't say it, but he was leading into like they just lease it to them and they do their thing and we do our thing. They're saying we really don't do much, we just hold the stakeholders. So I was a little bit confused, but I understood what he's saying. I need to talk to the president of the nonprofit, is what he's leading towards. And that conversation's coming next after this. You know, I didn't have no information to give them because I didn't know which way the board wanted to go on how to handle the funds on that one.
And one other thing, as far as the city recouping the money, our personnel most likely would be working at an overtime rate, correct?
Yes,
So
it's
if
a
we
good
bill-
possibility.
If we bill the county, we would need to bill at that overtime rate in order to keep our budget.
So do you, that was gonna be my next question, and me and Kevin talked about this a little bit, and I'm fine with either way. But we need to probably put that in the resolution, and if, that's what we'll have Tuesday night for y'all, because we have one in May. So it's either, I mean, if, we're gonna have to do fire protection regardless, but if we get this passed, we'll be able to recruit those
And
funds.
if we do that, I think we've just established a base rate, what that overtime rate is. That is our rate.
That's exactly what I was getting at. I could either figure up individually and put it in the resolution saying that, or come up with a base rate of saying, here's my worst case scenario, and it'll all come out in the wash in between all the employees. So, and that's where I was leading at, but I was okay to do whatever rate y'all wanted to do.
Yeah, I don't wanna make it too complicated.
But definitely want to recoup.
Yeah, we're providing a service,
Yeah.
service that you don't have.
Also, what also muddies the water, not pertaining to fire, but also public works. If it's county property, does our building codes, play in effect or no? Because I know during the tornado, Jack went out there and was doing some work, and then they're like, no, this is county property. So whose building codes, this is just something that we need to establish, because we've been trying to, clean up a lot of things, agreements that are not in writing and everything about who takes care of what. Because, I mean, any of us could leave at any time. So, you know, that's something that we need to ask Mr. Hill to look at for us also, on the building codes, who holds the jurisdiction on that.
And I'll tell you my feelings behind that. I feel like if our firefighters with the city of Fayetteville having to go in these buildings, they need to be on our fire codes. Because that's why we adopt them, that's why we enforce them. And I feel like on the safety side of things, if anything's less than that, I just feel like it's unsafe for our firefighters.
I know there's some differences, and I'll be honest, I haven't read it. What's the differences in code between? city
From my
and-
understanding, the county does not have a fire code, they just go with the state on state projects. So the state don't get involved in every project unless there's a complaint filed or it's over a certain amount of people or different kinds of properties.
Yeah, it's probably gonna be a point of discussion, and
between city and county to, if you decide to adopt, or we force drive the adoption of the city codes, that there's gonna have to be some period of, they can fall into it.
And we're very fortunate that we have a state, fire marshal that works very well with myself. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's a state project or not, he's always sending me emails, he's calling me and saying, hey, I'm going to this location, can you meet me out there? And then he'll ask me, is there any kind of things that I require that he'll put on his side to do it? We're very, very fortunate to have that.
Does that need to be in this MOU? Okay, that they fall under the city fire code?
I think it's a different, I believe it's a different,
And-
what do you think?
I kind of agree with you on that.
Okay,
Yeah. I mean, I'd love for it to be, but I think it's gonna be a different,
okay.
and I think there's gonna be some more meetings probably arranged between the county and ourselves before we decide.
So maybe when we make that arrangement, we can do also the building codes and the fire codes on that property.
Because the problem is, I'm not, and it might be me, but I'm not very clear with the county and the, whatever they're trying to do. I'm not very clear with that. So, I mean, I really don't even know what to talk about on it, you know? So
I know
if
that-
somebody could give us clear
Yeah.
direction on that, it'd be the best.
Yes. And I know that came up in the paper, I don't know, did they vote on that? Switching it over for the grant? I'm not really sure that that has been.
I think it
voted.
was a cattle barn that was in discussion to build. I did pick up on that. I think it was, Mayor Newman told us about that, yeah. I'm still not clear with. All I know is, even if it is county and they say, hey, it's the county's jurisdiction, I mean, for the citizens, that's just right in the heart of our jurisdiction. It would almost be nonsense for the city not to do fire protection down there. And I mean, it would just, a lot of, you got a 8-minute response time versus a 1.5-minute response time. So, I think it'd be the best for the city to take care of that.
Okay, so Mr. Hill, you're gonna work up something on that MOU, okay? So we'll
I'll-
take that to Tuesday.
I'll get with you on the rate so we can get that in there and all that good stuff. And then, the next is going to the fire department update. We were awarded our grant. We've been working on that one since the announcement. We're still waiting on the contract to come in and the funds to be, issued to us. We're supposed to receive that today and sign the papers today. Hopefully it will, or if not, probably Monday. But we've started working with our vendors, getting quotes in, getting all the good stuff in to see if we can order. Been pretty successful so far. Our new three firefighters, they graduate May 1st. We're ready for them to come home and get back to work. We're, our staffing levels have been kind of stressful the past few months, so we're ready for them to come home to relieve some of that. And I'm sure the boys are ready to take some vacation time, so I'm sure the calendar's gonna be full of that. Leading into our staffing, we have one that, he says hopefully will be back by May 4th. That's his last doctor's checkup for him for clearance. He's healing up very nice, going to rehab. He feels like he's gonna be able to come back. He'd probably come back right now if the doctor just said okay. We have one also that need to have a little medical procedure done in the middle of this month. He'll be out a couple weeks for that, and then he'll be back at work. We're shooting everything. I don't know why it's falling like this, but May 1st is where it's falling around. So if we can get through April, and I think we're gonna be good after April. The moving into our apparatuses, I didn't have this information during work session. I've obtained it since then. Our ladder one was getting some inspections done on it, trying to figure out, we have a leak on our turntable. And they have found the leak and they have identified what the fix of that is. And the quote scared the living mess out of me. So I talked with him yesterday. He's gonna go back and make sure that he gave us our contract pricing, because we have a contract with Brindley Mounting to get wholesale on parts. And it was roughly almost $12,000 to fix this. And so he's gonna start looking at that and making sure he gave us the right pricing on that. And I'll review it after that. I'll talk with Mr. Owens, and I'm gonna talk with the mechanic again. It's not a bad leak, So it's not like it's pouring oil out of it. So, I mean, I think we have a little bit of time to make a decision, get it funded and all that good stuff. Maybe wait till the next budget cycle so we have new funds to pay for that. Our biggest answer will be at the end of this month when they come do our ladder test. It might be a finding that says it has to be fixed before we certify it. So we'll know that by the end of the month. We're keeping an eye on it and just making sure it doesn't get worse.
So is it welding?
It is a hydraulic leak, yes.
Hydraulic.
Yeah, it's on the turntable pump.
No.
So that's what the hardest part was, getting that pump out of that location. So they'll have to get a forklift because the weight of it, unbolt it, pull it out, rebuild it, go back in. It will have to go to the mountain to do that. So it, we'll be out of a ladder for the time of the duration. He hasn't told me a time frame of how long it takes to do that, but he says right now their shop is running very smooth. So he felt like it could be in and out in no time. So, other than the $12,000 bill come behind it. Yeah, so we're gonna keep an eye on that very, very close.
Will there be any impact on not having ladder capability?
It
That
will be an
address?
impact. We'll just have to notify our partners that we're out of a ladder and, kind of put on a standby.
Okay.
I mean, it's not really a huge deal. They're just saying, hey, I'm just letting you know we don't have a ladder
Right.
in our area. So we've had to do that in the past.
Okay.
Our pump testing has been complete. I had no findings on it, so all of our pumpers on our engines have passed testing on it. And then I mentioned that our ladder testing and ground ladder testing is at the end of this month. And that is my report. If you have any questions.
Go ahead. I've got one, and it may not have anything to do with it, but back to the fairgrounds and the fire protection there, definitely needed. How does that impact people with property, some in the city and some in the county? And we've had fires in the past with county property owned by one person burned down, waiting on them to get there. So
Right.
that's kind of muddy,
Yeah,
something to think about.
absolutely. And that's what my point is behind if they decide or deem that little portion of the city of Fayetteville as the fairgrounds, county property, and we don't have jurisdiction, I still feel like we need to have something written that at least the fire protection still happens in that area. Because you're right. I
So that
mean,
bleeds over to residential as well, with
That's right.
property on both sides.
That's right, that's right. And I agree 100%. And luckily, me and Doug have an understanding of, property lines we don't really look at. If it's needed, we come. And we'll work out the details afterwards. Yeah, so that's a blessing to have that too, as well.
Okay.
Any other questions?
No questions. So Monica, we're gonna take the MOU, on the county fire board and the Lincoln County Fairgrounds MOU.
The fire one, you won't have nothing. Will you have that for the Lincoln County? Yeah. You think you can? Okay, then, yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
I just didn't want to rush you. I was gonna give you another month.
Okay, so now that takes us to the Parks and Recs Department, Director Brown.
Good morning.
Morning, Brad.
First, we want to recognize one particular individual we have at the rec department. All of our folks do a great job. Springtime is our Super Bowl. That's when we work the most, the hardest, and the longest. So trying to keep everybody responsible for their part and everything doing it the right way. But Ray Pullen has been doing an exceptional job anyway. And before I realized it was his 31st anniversary coming up, I wanted to give him some recognition just because he's always there. He's always doing, he's going above and beyond. And he's been doing it for a long time. So I would love to be able to recognize him at our board meeting, just to give him a certificate. Committee was in favor for it, just bring it in front of you guys for that opportunity to recognize him, so. And then Chief Bergman was talking about leaks. We have our whack-a-mole going on throughout the parks. We're continually trying to fix these leaks. Right now, our priorities. The farmer's market with April well in full swing, farmer's market is open. We want to get that one done as soon as possible. So we're working there diligently. We've got a quote, hopefully get that thing fixed before the crowd starts showing. The good news is we have new fans that are finally going up, listen to the community, and they're really, really big on these new fans. So we're excited to get those hung, hopefully by the end of the week. Update on Musco Lighting. Spoke with them. We should have that contraption installed by the end of the month, right, just in time before softball games start up. So we are definitely looking forward to having that to our advantage. Approval preparation is underway. We're looking to get close to 15 lifeguards. We have a pool manager. In the past couple of years, we've been able to split that position to kind of take the heavy load off of one particular person. We are very glad to have Ms. Bridget back working for our community at the pool. However, if anyone is interested in filling up part of that role, please let me know. Please let us know so we can help her out. But we are looking, we have 12 to 15, well, there's 12, I think, during committee, and I think we had 3 more to fill out applications. So we're excited about our lifeguards this year. Speaking of lifeguards, I was in contact with South Central, our Tennessee Youth Grant. I've spoken with them several times, and our kids have to go by and just fill out the application, which they're trying. The only times they are taking those are 9 a.m. and 2 p.m. Monday through Friday. So it's hard to get them out there, but we are working to get that going forward for the summer. When I spoke to her, we're going to do the first 5 and see if we can get those rolling and see what we can do after that. But that will help us out in the long run for the summer.
Nathan, if I understand that correct, this grant will pay up to $3,500 per employee. So you can use that,
Correct, yeah, $3,500, anyone from 14 to 24 for the duration of the grant, I think, which will conclude the 30th. And she also mentioned that we might be able to renew that July 1st. So that would definitely help.
Have we asked South Central if they would maybe lean forward and possibly go to these schools at like a lunch break?
We have not attempted that yet, which would be a great idea. That did come up. That did come up, and that was a great idea if we could do it. I think Ms. Bridget even brought that up. Can they come to the school? So that would be something we can definitely look into.
Sarah Brown is the director out there in youth, and she's really, really working hard and doing a great job. So if you want to talk to her, that's
Okay. I'll make that phone call
okay.
for this. Let's see, March events. We had a successful, very busy March with our coffees and cars, Easter extravaganza. Miss Abby did a wonderful job getting that prepared, and our guys did a great job getting Don Davidson ready for our kids. We had, I think we had 4,000 eggs and 5 grand prizes that were given out that day. So a lot of good community involvement. Also, our sports this year, we're at a 37% increase in participants from last year. So that number is going up. Our fields, in my opinion, I remember seeing them when I was a kid, and our fields now are the best I think they've ever been. With the way the grass has come in and overseeding every fall has really helped us out. Participation is just at an all-time high. We have a large number of umpires on the baseball field, softball field, and also our volleyball is really doing well. So we're really excited about that. Let's see, that's all I have on my report. If you have any questions.
Any questions? Thank you.
All right, thank y'all.
Okay, then we'll move to planning and code.
Mayor, good morning. The item that we had brought out of committee was going to be a specialty shop discussion. We had took a sample ordinance of how we were going to try to be able to regulate the specialty shops. After our committee meeting, Attorney Hill did some more research and found out that there's actually a state statute that prohibits us doing it this way. So it looks like the only way we're gonna be able to regulate, maybe through zoning and regulation of only allowing them in certain districts.
And I'm looking at something else too that I think we could use alongside the zoning, having to do with the new hemp legislation, because I think a lot of these businesses are probably going to be trying to get licensed as hemp regulators too. So, and it looks like with the hemp regulation that came into effect January 1st, we have a little more latitude to regulate those. And there's at least one bill that I've found in the General Assembly right now that would even give us, I think, some more latitude with that. So I'm kind of working two prongs there.
We had discussed in committee about the number of shops that we have. We already have 7 now. And I wanted to mention to Mr. Hill, because I went back and did some research. We also have those offerings that we're trying to regulate offered in convenience stores and gas stations. So that's something to consider when we're looking at the number that we have, that those places offer those drugs that we're trying to look about and make sure that they're not getting into the wrong hand or underage. So I want to make that aware.
We will just continue to do further research and have to bring other ideas back to committee.
Okay.
As far as department update, we held our annual officer elections for the utility committee on March 18th. Randall Briner did remain chairman, and Doug Campbell remained our vice chairman. The property maintenance log this month, Ms. Teresa has logged 160 violations for the month of March. We do have court hearings scheduled for April 13th, April 20th, and April 23rd. And these hearings are for habitual offenders and people that we've had issues with several times. So she's doing a great job with following up and make sure that we're getting resolutions on property maintenance violations. We're also seeing a huge improvement in inoperable vehicle enforcement. We're getting multiple calls in the office a day for people who have received cards. So she's doing a great effort in that category as well. We held an ADA meeting last week to finalize spending funds allocated in the current budget. We had $15,000 in this year's budget. We were able to remove an old concrete island and stump through the Public Works Department in our back parking lot. We created 2 handicapped parking stalls. One is van accessible. And then Jack was able to coordinate with American Stripers to get the ADA pathway to the elevator restriped, the new handicap stalls restriped. So that area looks really good in our parking lot. We're waiting quotes for handrails. We're going to replace handrails out front here in the municipal building for people trying to get into our building and into Carter's. We have a lot of elderly. We know that the sidewalk project will eventually come, but we need to do something now because that's still a ways away. So we're waiting those quotes so that we can get those ordered. We had a lot of our handicapped signage that was out of compliance that needs to state the fine on the sign. So we worked with Chief Jennings and got the correct sign, so we ordered them in bulk to be able to replace all of the signage and get them in compliance for handicapped parking. And then we're also exploring other projects that we can spend the remainder of the funds. We'll have a few $1,000s left. So we're trying to utilize all that money that we can. And then we do have a project that we're hoping that will get funded in next year's budget to do some ADA projects out at Don Davidson Park. And y'all will be hearing about that in the budget session. Ms. Jill is doing a great job with the mobile food vendor permits. We added 5 new permits in March. So we're constantly regulating those and making sure everybody that's standing up has a permit. If it's brought to our attention, we immediately go particular truck. So, that's going well for us. And then we're seeing an influx with, this time of year with, building permits. People wanting to put up fences and decks and new roofs, just remodeling projects, which we always see an influx this time of year, the spring coming on. And then also grass season is upon us. We've received our first few calls this week, so that's something we're adding into the trolling, as well. And that's my report.
Any questions for planning and code?
Thank you.
IT department?
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I want to start my update by mentioning that we was able to manage the daily needs just of workstations, printers, and monitors. Next, I started work with Revise to get our website up to ADA compliance. That would help make things more easily accessible for the public. Work with RecDesk has begun to get us started and set up for card transactions at the rec center when the pools open up this year. I know we've had some complications with that in the past. Hopefully, it'll be smooth sailing this year with that. We also received 3 quotes to get security access control on 5 of our points of entry in the municipal building. This will allow for higher security in the building, like letting them be locked all day, and only the people who work here have access to get in and out of those doors. I helped the police department install a new printer system for their evidence. This allows them to keep track of their evidence via barcodes, print the barcodes, and our evidence lady, Miss Danielle downstairs, can scan that, and then it'll be pulled up where she can do whatever she needs to there. Last thing on the update is backup infrastructure work. We've got it set up from the month prior. I'm now working on verifying all the backups, making sure they're all valid. Any non-essential backups, get those deleted. And there's also several backups that have not been updated in years, so if we don't need those, we'll get rid of those. It's also not in my update, but I wanted to let you guys know that we are on the cloud for our backups, so our backups are being sent to the cloud. And I do plan on getting a disaster recovery plan to you guys for in case there's any events like that. That way we have a plan set in place on what we can do. That is my report. Is there any questions?
Any questions?
Thank you, guys.
The finance department, it looks like Director Owens, City Administrator Owens is gonna take care of that for us this morning.
Good morning, and thank you, Mayor and Board. Natalia and Debbie, they're out for a couple of days training, so Natalia asked me, would I present her report? The first item she has is concerning the 24-25 audit, which we finished last month. It has been submitted to the state, but we do request for official approval from the board, and we wanted to see whether there were any concerns of whether we had authorization to present it to the board.
Any questions on it? Or
I didn't have a chance to go through all. Did we have any findings?
We did not have any findings this year.
Great.
I have had a few conversations even as far as yesterday, but we didn't have any findings, so.
Okay, we'll move that on to
Good.
Tuesday. No other questions?
The second item she asked me to present, we used MECLOT, in Clemens. This year, this was our first opportunity to use them. Although the contract says 3 years and approval every year, we wanted to look through the board to see whether we wanted to use them for the 25-26 fiscal year to do the audit. So typically, we come to the board in April to see whether we want to continue or use this particular agency.
Any discussion on that?
We had discussion in finance, but it wasn't the smoothest this year, but we think changing it again would make it even tougher, so we're kind of in,
There's always a hiccup when you
yeah,
change.
that's right.
So this is a year-to-year agreement for 3 years, and so if we try one more year and then get improved approves and would like it, then we can stay. If not, the third year, then we can look at doing it.
Exactly. And I think we would be, one of the things Natalia and I met last week, we want to make sure that they have a full understanding at the beginning. Of course, we had a lot of changes ourselves with the change in the fiscal year and the rather being sick some of the year, but we thought it would be good if we sort of set our expectations at the beginning of the year, rather than get into it. So that's one of the things, if the board grants authority, we will meet with them probably in the next few weeks on that.
Okay?
I see the red one on too. Not opposed.
If no other discussion, then we'll move then on to Tuesday to vote for approval.
And the final one that she was asking for approval is budget amendment number 11. So she wanted to move some grant funds to uniform line items, and this was within the police department. We also have received some insurance benefits for the fire department to move to fire department operation. And the Fayetteville City Schools did repay us for cleaning of the roof. They paid half of the expenses, so we're in receipt of those funds. So she wanted to ask that we move those back into our building maintenance line items. So those are the things under amendment number 11.
Any discussion on the budget amendment? If not, Monica will move that to Tuesday also.
Okay, as far as her financial report, we have $304,479 for local sales, which is a 9.2% increase. We have $67,303 for state share sales, which is a 0.16 increase. And we also, for our occupancy, we have $4,474, which is a 52% decrease. We still feel like most of the problems are with Hampton and their non-collection. We have a lot of problems with that, but we have set up a meeting with the existing manager. So we hope to correct or at least find out where the problems continue with that.
Okay. Thank you for that report.
A couple more things, please.
Okay.
So just as a reminder, and we talked about this as the meeting was started, our budget work sessions will be on April 21st and April 28th. Both of those days are Tuesdays. They start at 4:30. The nonprofits will present on the first one, on the April 21st budget session. So they would probably take about 30 minutes or so. So they do know to contact Natalia prior to that if they wish to speak. But we will start with that. And, and then she also wanted us to know that we have started the process of turning in the 24 delinquent taxes to clerk and master, so we have done that. And she has scheduled a meeting for this Tuesday with the county concerning money that we received together. So it's a 2-hour meeting that she and I will participate on Monday. So she wanted to let the board that was being worked as well.
That concludes that.
That concludes, I'm sorry.
Is he
I
done
am
yet?
I didn't want to jump on anything. Okay, now we'll move to the city administrator's report.
Thank you, Mayor. They gave me a chance to pull my report up.
That's what you were doing.
That's what I was doing. But as far as the city administrator's report, we are doing a lot, staff is doing a lot of grant work at the moment. We got some existing grants that we're trying to work on, as well as submitting some grants and looking at future grants. So in the next upcoming months, we're going to be doing a lot of grant work. On the second item that is kind of part of my report and part of Natalia's report, we found out that we pretty much need to wrap up our existing bond agreement. So we're working on that and making some recommendations. We have done a lot of work over the last 2 weeks on things we need to address with that. As the transition was going, we found out that we probably should have been at this point a year and a half ago. But that's something we're working and we are planning on coming into May, looking at some stuff and making some recommendations to the board. Of course, we got a lot of budget preparation. We're looking at it, and we will have a big fleet management meeting this coming month. A lot of things we need to address. You heard it at strategic planning. So we're kind of moving on that. The aftermath of the square fire is still on everybody's mind. So we are very attentive to things with that, and we're going to be still looking even in weeks on some stuff, and even got some offers that we will be bringing to the board in writing as well as to the meetings coming into the May cycle. We have some economic development meetings coming up, and of course we also looking at some real estate management and goal setting. And that concludes my report for now.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion on the board? If not, this meeting is adjourned, and we'll see you on Tuesday night for the board meeting.